All right. Hello. I am getting the message that we're live. Maybe we're live for a few minutes there. But hello everybody and welcome. I'm so happy that you are here for this special edition of the Astrology Hub podcast. So today I'm going to do a little solo episode. I usually have at least one astrologer friend with me, sometimes many astrologer friends. But what I'm going to do here today is share the highlight reel, or at least my highlight reel, or my biggest takeaways from last week's 2024 forecast panel event, which featured the insights of 5 incredible astrologers. But today's episode is for you if you love the Cliffs Notes version of astrology. You're busy. You love to hear the main big picture points without having to sift through a lot of content or a lot of detail. You like to keep it at that higher level. Maybe you missed last week's event and you want to get a taste of what we talked about. You'll be able to do that here. Maybe you joined last week's event, but you'd love to hear a recap so you can revisit your notes and continue your prep for 2024. Finally, make sure you stay till the end because I'm going to share the absolute crown jewel of the event, at least from my perspective. And I think a lot of the audience agreed. It happened towards the end of the event, and I'm going to recap it so you can all benefit from the magical moment that we got to share. All right, so excuse me. Some of you mentioned to me that you love my summaries of episodes here on the podcast. So if you're one of those people, you're going to love this episode too. If you are here live, please go ahead and say hello in the chat. If you're watching the recording, also say hello in the chat. I love going back in and engaging with you. And you can also put some of your biggest takeaways from the 2024 forecast event if you happen to catch it. And or if you're someone who's looking ahead already and you have your own insights that you want to share with the community, that would be awesome too. So now last week, the 2024 panel was so epic. We went through 3 of the biggest transits of 2024. Pluto's move into Aquarius, the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, and the 2 eclipses of next year. We talked about how that energy may play out in the world and also in our lives and what we can do about it. The recordings were available for a limited time or for life if you are an Inner Circle member or if you've become an Inner Circle member. And we heard from so many of you that you missed the replay window and wish you could have joined. So we decided to bring the full forecast, the full 2-hour experience back for an encore weekend. If you are like, oh my gosh, I skip the Cliffs Notes, I want to do the real deal, you can do that. And or if you listen to what I have to share today and you're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to hear the full thing. Either way, the link is astrologyhub.com/replay. It's going to be available for this encore weekend through Sunday, October 22nd at midnight Pacific. So you can go there again, astrologyhub.com/replay and catch the full event. It's totally worth your time if you can do it. Maybe swap out your Netflix or your Amazon Prime movie or whatever with the forecast event. It's going to be very enriching for your body, your mind, and your soul. In conjunction with this, we decided to extend the promotional period for the Inner Circle through Sunday night at midnight as well. If you're looking for the best, most supportive, inspiring, and educational astrological community around, the Inner Circle is for you. The astrologers who we featured at the panel event are astrologers coming up in the Inner Circle. So if you love them, you're going to love the Inner Circle. If you've tuned into some of our podcast events and some of the different things we do here at Astrology Hub and you like the energy of it, you like the community, then it's definitely the best time to try out the Inner Circle. We are offering the best pricing that we offer all year long, a 45% discount on our monthly rate. And you can also do an annual and get 2 months free on top of that. So it's definitely worth a look at least. And we're closing that promotional period at the same time, we're closing the replay. So that'll be midnight, October 22nd. And you can go to astrologyhub.com/innercircle24. And again, join us before Sunday at midnight. All right. So let's see if anybody is here right now. I'd love to ask you some questions. I would love for anybody that was there at the event. What are your takeaways? Like, did you have anything that you want to put in the chat? Anything that you like, it landed for you and you want to share it with other people? Because it's going to be kind of like the little totem that you carry around all of 2024. When things go up and things go down, you're going to be able to hold on to this one thought or idea. I love working with astrology that way, where it's like, okay, whether we're looking at the week, we're looking at a transit, we're looking at a year, we're looking at a solar return, whatever it is. Like, what is that one unifying thought that can help me through as I'm navigating the year? So I love to share those with you whenever I come up with them, but I'd also love to hear if you have any. And hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're here. This is fun. Okay. So let's start. I'm going to start kind of big picture. In general, the sense I got about 2024 is that I know a lot of us are looking for like a break. A lot of us are looking for a little bit more of a mellow energy, or maybe for things to sort of calm down. But it definitely doesn't seem like next year is going to be the year for that. It didn't sound chill or mellow or like smooth sailing. However, there are a lot of opportunities. If we're aware of the energies, if we're aware of the invitation of the transits for next year, there's definitely a lot of opportunity. So I want to highlight that as I go through. So at Astrology Hub, we like to be realistic. Like, here it is. It might not be the easiest year ahead. However, if you're one of those people that wants to take that and use it for alchemy, for transformation, for up leveling, for upgrading yourself in the process of meeting these challenges and accepting the invitation of the cosmos to really step into what the invitation is, because I truly believe that life is happening for us. So even when it feels hard and challenging and overwhelming and like we can't get a break, it's like we're being chiseled into that diamond. And if we have that perspective, then that's what we get to use it as. So okay, so I wrote down, I'm like looking at my notes, not chill or mellow, continuation of the epic change we've been riding. We've been riding this epic change wave for at least 3 years now. I know that it was put into motion a long time before that, but 2020 was really that, like, all right, game on, here we go. We're still in that wave. We're riding that wave of change, big change. But I do have to say, one of the overarching things I got is that we're moving into the phase. Instead of that phase where we were feeling like we were just barraged with like, oh my God, one thing after another thing, after another thing, after another thing. And they felt shocking. You know, they were kind of like shocking to the system. We're now moving into a phase where we're kind of like, okay, like we're getting used to being comfortable in the discomfort. I don't know if comfort's the right word, but we're getting used to discomfort and we're getting used to unknown. We're starting to move into a phase where we can ask the question, what is mine to do? We're obviously entering into an entirely new era. So what is mine to do? And it's kind of not leaving the past behind, but maybe letting go of a lot of ideas of what we thought we were, of what we thought was possible, and really owning new aspects of ourselves and new aspects of what we have to contribute. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but those are a few things when I went back and like really just looked at my highlights and tried to come up with some synthesized overarching themes. Those are the big picture ones. All right, let's go into Pluto into Aquarius. So the date for this, if you want to write this down, is January 20th, 2024. Then it goes back into Capricorn, September 1st, 2024. Then it goes back into Aquarius again, November 19th, 2024. So Pluto is spending most of the year in Aquarius. And you can think back to March, April of this year to kind of understand the flavor of it. And I know for me it was exciting and exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time. So a lot of things that came up when we talked about this section of the astrology next year is that Aquarius doesn't just go out of the box, it literally smashes the box. And there's a whole new way of thinking and a complete mindset shift. Clarissa, one of the astrologers, said, don't do tried and true. If it's worked for you before, it might not work for you anymore. If you've always done things this way, it might start to feel like you're swimming upstream. This is the time to really be thinking about things differently. When challenges arise, instead of like, okay, well, I used to do this when this happened, so I'm going to try that again. It's like, well, can you sit and be open to an entirely different perspective? Can you ask other people to help fuel a different perspective? Sometimes it's hard to think of those on our own, right? So is there community you can turn to with the obstacles you're facing and say, hey, can someone help me think about this differently? Because I've always thought about it this way. But it really is a time to be open, not only to like doing things, maybe expanding the box, not expanding the box, smashing the box, and completely living in new ways. I think it's a what's his name? Buckminster Fuller. And I'm going to butcher this quote, but something about instead of trying to solve a problem at a certain level and like coming up against obstacles, create something entirely new that makes the problem obsolete. So that's the place where we're at. We're at, how do we make the problem obsolete? And how do we swim in an entirely new ocean than we have been before? Christopher said it's not going to be gentle, but it's slow moving, so we'll have time to get used to it. And one of the things that I liked about what Christopher shared at this point, because we had been talking about newness and doing things in a totally new way, Christopher said, remember not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So at the same time, we're smashing boxes and we're making things obsolete. He was reminding us that we still need to remember history, remember the lessons that we've learned, so that we don't continue to just repeat things over and over and over, right? Or that we don't, in thinking we're doing something entirely new, we're actually just creating something that has a very similar resonance to the thing that was before. We're really coming at it from a new place, but remembering what we've learned. And so along this path, things came up around shadow. So the shadow of Aquarian energy and sometimes the power struggles that can happen, the focus on equality, but sort of whitewashing that equality, like everything and everyone's the same. Like the collective is just this one big mass, instead of remembering the gifts of Leo, which is the polar opposite of Aquarius, which is all about individuality. So Mark brought this in. So we talked a little bit about the shadow, and then Mark brought in this Pluto in Aquarius time being the time to really focus on how you can use your individual creativity for the evolution of the species. So again, it's the beauty of that Aquarius Leo axis. It's like, what is mine to give? What are my unique gifts and talents, and how can I contribute that to the whole? So I love this quote from Mark. He said he's a poet, so he would have these moments where he would bring in this poetry that it was just like, wow, yeah, that was deep and really beautiful the way you said that. So he said the collective hell is that we are actually afraid of love. We're afraid of being the love we are. We are scared of our light. There's a tremendous light inside the human species. If we could tap this light, that Aquarius interconnected wholeness can rototill the hell of the species. So again, it's this emphasis on that light inside of you that nobody else has. We know from studying astrology that there is a unique blueprint that is you. There's a unique constellation configuration of stars, of light, literal light, that is you. And so this emphasis on sharing that individual light with the world in a way that benefits humanity as a whole. Okay. So we talked about how transits have different phases. Like everything doesn't happen all at once. This is a long transit, it's 20 years. And we talked about the kind of like breakdown phase of the transit. And then you kind of like tip over the hill, and then there's like a rebuilding phase. And so for the next 10 years we're going to be more in that breakdown phase, which to me means we're going to be looking at more of those shadow aspects of Aquarius. We're going to be finding those shadow aspects within ourselves. Where do we dehumanize ourselves? Where do we dehumanize each other? One way that we dehumanize each other is we slap labels on each other. You said this, so that means you're that. You did this, so that means you're that, right? So where are those things within ourselves that we're doing? And we're going to have a lot of opportunity to explore that. I've also been obsessed with the question that came up in 2020. And any of you have heard me in the inner circle, or you've heard me maybe on the podcast say that at our 2020 forecast event, one of the big themes that emerged was stay human. And I remember at the time being like, like, what does that mean? Like, what does it even mean to stay human? Like, how do you not be human? And as 2020 evolved, and as we're moving forward closer to this Pluto in Aquarius time, it's like, oh, I get it. There is a real need for us to actually understand and value what it is to be human. Like, what is unique and wonderful and beautiful about human, about who we are, about our divine connection, about our access to creativity. You may be in this process too, coming up with your own answers. But again, this is going to be something to consider, especially as AI and robotics and all kinds of crazy things are going to continue. And I don't mean crazy bad. I just mean like mind blowing, and maybe bad. I don't know. I'm still in that exploration myself. And I do believe that there's going to be a lot of ways to use technology as a tool to benefit the whole. But there will be that shadow side of using technology to harm the whole, or harm what it is that makes us human. So, okay. I hope that's helpful. I'd love to hear any thoughts you all have on Pluto and Aquarius. Oh, cosmic clues. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I love that song so much. I used to sing it to my daughters all the time. I still sing it to my dogs, but I love it so much. It's so sweet. Donna, it's tough for our world with so much divisiveness. Yes, Donna, I've been thinking about that a lot too. And that divisiveness really started in 2020 in a big way. I mean, it's always been there. I feel like 2020 just kind of revealed our tendency towards divisiveness. And I've been thinking about this a lot, that the most important thing will be to, instead of squabbling over our differences, to actually have a unifying vision. Like, what is a unified vision for humanity that can honor our differences, that can honor the way that we're living our lives, that can honor our choices, that can honor our uniqueness, but be unified around qualities, like eternal qualities. And that's one of the things I love about astrology, is we're constantly studying these archetypal qualities, these archetypal energies from all different angles, and choosing which aspect of these archetypal energies we want to elicit in ourselves. And so again, a lot of this came up in the conversation during the forecast. When we're hearing about, maybe an escalation towards more war in 2024, when divisiveness is still so hot and heavy, how do we take responsibility for what we can do? What can we do about it? and how, like in our sphere of control, what do we actually have the opportunity to accomplish? And so I'm going to get to that here in a sec, because that also came up a lot. All right. So Jupiter Uranus conjunction was the next one we talked about. This is April 20th of 2024. And this kind of feels like a pretty big bright spot in the year, I have to say. Of all the things that we talked about, this one was like, all right, like there's a lot here that we can sink our teeth into. So the astrologers talked about it being an expansion of our world view, being able to see more for ourselves and our culture than we might be limited, than our limited point of view has, where we've been, So more for ourselves and our culture. So again, like more ideas, more insights, more expansion around what is possible. Look at all of the aspects of history we don't want to repeat, be practical about this. And then anything can change. So that was another thing that came out. And especially for people who have 20 degrees of fixed or earth signs. So if you're at 20 degrees with an orb of like 3 on either side, be really clear about your intentions. So you've asked for it, now you've got it. I love, Rachel said this is a manifestation transit. So be really mindful of what you're paying attention to, where your focus is, what your intentions are, what you're allowing into your life, especially if you're 20 degrees of, if you have planets at 20 degrees of fixed or earth signs. And specifically, we pointed out Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. All right. There was an emphasis here on how you take care of yourself. How does it feel to be in your body? Are we okay? Are we comfortable in our bodies? And we're exploring this in the inner circle right now during this entire lunar cycle with Cameron Allen. This, like, what happens in our lives that makes us want to get out of our body or escape our body or feel like we have to react from whatever's happening in our body. And so this is going to be a big part of this transit. What kind of changes do we need to make to help our nervous systems calm down and drop in? On a practical level, I love this too. This forecast had a great balance of like very practical, tangible advice, and then very like esoteric and spiritual and expansive ideas. It all happened like within the 2 hours. So on a practical level, Christopher brought in that if you have any sort of earth matters in your life, so business, finances, investments, like your investment portfolio, or investing in property, or if you're considering a geographical move, anything that has to do with the earthy things of your life, if you have things like that you want to do them before Jupiter enters Gemini on May 25th. Because the energy is going to change dramatically. And we have this like entire ramp up period at the beginning of 2024 to take care of those kinds of things. So he was really clear about that. I also, I talk to a lot of astrologers, and I pay attention to how confidently they deliver a message. And sometimes it's like, well, it could go this way, it could go that way. And there's a little bit of like hedging the bet a little bit. But sometimes they come out and it is so clear and it is so to the point, and it's like, okay, I'm really paying attention to that. Like the others are suggestions. This one is a definite, like, I'm going to pay attention. Okay. Expanding your inner vision that expands the family of humanity. Again, Mark brought in this idea. The first molecules of water that were on the earth are still here today. So like that's how interconnected we are with each other, with everything on the planet, with everything that has come, with everything that will come. So the question was, when we expand our inner vision of how to be on the earth in our bodies in a whole new way, we can restore the primal magic of why our soul chose to take a body. So expand our inner vision of how to be on the earth in our bodies in a whole new way. We can restore the primal magic of why our souls chose to take bodies. Okay. When this aspect peaks, so when we're at like actual right around this conjunction, again, the date is April 20th, 2024. Clarissa was focusing on how important it is to be out and about because you're going to meet some amazing people, that there is a lot of fun. She said it's beyond expansive. Art, poetry, divination. There's a lot of expansiveness. So even if you're more of an introvert person, this would be a time of the year to like kind of force yourself to go out, meet people, be engaged with your community, be engaged and be open to what happens. She also said it's important to embrace the niche. So instead of like thinking, how can I serve everything and everyone? It can be more like, how can I serve this niche of the population? These people who maybe haven't gotten enough attention, maybe this idea that hasn't gotten enough attention. But instead of thinking of it at like, how do I take this mainstream? It's more, how do I really serve this, like this corner of the world that can benefit from me and whatever it is that I have to give. All right. We then went on to the eclipses. Okay, I just want to check in and see how y'all doing. Yes. Okay. Okay, yes. I'm hearing yes. Me too. This is me dropping expectations. Okay, fantastic. Okay, if you're here and you have any thoughts or reflections or questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. Okay, so the eclipses. There are 4 eclipses next year. They happen in sets, as you probably already know. There are the spring eclipses. Well, it depends on where you live. So there's March, April, and then there's September, October. So March 25th, 2024, April 8th, 2024. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this again just in case you're making notes. March 25th, 2024 is a Libra lunar eclipse. April 8th, 2024 is an Aries solar eclipse, and this one is a total eclipse, and it's going to be visible across the United States and a lot of other places as well. September 18th, 2024 is a lunar Pisces eclipse, and October 2nd, 2024 is a solar Libra eclipse. And so some of the big themes that came out for these is about eclipses in general, but then about these specific eclipses. I can't remember who said it, but someone said that eclipses are it was Mark, the wild cards of the zodiac, because they cut across predictable rhythms. So the way that I'm looking at 2024, you have like your lunar cycles. We're like doing our lunar cycle dance. Then we have Pluto shifting in the background into Aquarius and creating a very solid, deep drumbeat that will be with us the whole year. We have that bright spot peak of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And then we have these eclipses kind of interrupting the cadence of the song of 2024. So wild cards of the zodiac, they cut across predictable rhythms. And so the Aries Libra one, what will be disrupted has to do with the learning of authentic camaraderie, authentic relationship, authentic selfhood, and your relationship with yourself. So it's very relationship focused, but very much focused on authenticity in relationships, both with yourself and with others. There will be disruptive forces that are shaking up our conditioned self. The breaking apart the seesaw in relationship, the one where it's like, I have to win. In order for me to win, you have to lose, and vice versa. So really shifting that perception. And it's really interesting. Are you familiar with Greg Braden's work? Because there's been a lot of study around the survival of the fittest and our ideas and concepts, like the Darwinian ideas and concepts around evolution, and that competition being the like end all be all pinnacle of evolution. And what they're finding is that it's actually not competition that is the like tip of the spear of evolution, that it is collaboration. So it is when we actually come together and collaborate and work together, that we can more quickly, more efficiently, more beneficially for all evolve. So sounds like these themes are going to be up during that spring or autumn, depends on where you are in the world, eclipses. Okay. The other thing that came up is this idea of war and relationship with self, and where are we at war with ourselves? Where do we still buy into the idea of that seesaw within ourself? Like, for me to get what I need, I have to sacrifice who I really am. For me to keep this relationship alive, I have to silence myself. For me to move ahead in my career, I have to do what everybody is expecting of me. All those things that we adopt that are essentially us being at war with ourselves. So again, back to that idea of what can we actually have influence over? And we certainly can have influence over the way that we are with ourselves, with our thoughts, with our patterns. That's where we have the most opportunity to impact the collective whole. Okay. I love this statement. Clarissa said, we will be unrecognizable to ourselves by the end of the year. I think that's kind of exciting, right? And then there's the question of, who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? What aspects of yourself are you going to surprise yourself about next year? Okay. These eclipses, both of the eclipses, offer a course correction opportunity, a course correct moment in your life. And that April 8th one is a really big deal because it's visible. And so traditionally in astrology, when an eclipse is total and it's visible, it's even more of a big deal. But it also has a conjunction with Chiron. I can't remember if it's a conjunction or something. I didn't write down the exact opposite. I didn't write down the exact aspect, but Chiron contact is triggered here. So it will be bringing out this Chiron energy. And I loved the way Christopher defined Chiron. He said, the wound you carry that you cannot heal in yourself, but you can heal in other people. I hadn't absorbed that aspect of Chiron. I got the wounded healer, but I didn't draw that connection between the wound that you carry that you can't really heal in yourself, but you can help others heal. It's kind of beautiful. So at this period of time, it might be on spotlight where you need to be there for someone else. Also, he brought out where we get angry with ourselves, where we buy into the idea that it's not strong to show weakness. And so we kind of stuff things down because we don't want to appear weak, but then we don't ask for help. We don't reach out to people. We don't allow people to love us. All the different things that we do when we're trying to cover up or overcompensate for that feeling of being scared or out of control or weak or whatever it is. So Christopher said, be kind to yourself. Don't fall back into sabotaging, anger, and use this as an opportunity to really get out of that pattern that this could be really coming up strong in your life. Again, this is around April 8th. Okay, so my favorite part of the event was the last part that they shared before the Q&A, where they each went through practices or mantras that we can take with us into the next year. And they come up with some amazing things. So I wanted to make sure and share those here. If you do have a journal, you might want to jot them down. All right. One of them was to consciously choose the fire. This was from Sheridan. Consciously choose the fire. I remember when I was going through my Pluto square period of life, it felt like my entire world was on fire, literally. Like it was just, everything was burning to the ground in huge ways. And I remember having the thought at the time, instead of being burned by the fire, can I learn to be a fire dancer? Can I learn to take this heat and energy and dance with it. I mean, if you've ever seen a fire dancer, it's like completely amazing to watch. It's like, oh my God, terrifying and beautiful and amazing at the same time. So it sounds like this energy, this fiery energy that we might have throughout the year may be inviting us to just consciously choose it, lean into it. Where can we let that fire really melt away aspects of ourselves that we don't need anymore? Be present with your feelings. Be present. Again, this emphasis in the body. Be present in the body. So tools, techniques, practices that help you get in your body. I love that she brought in making a touchstone. So a touchstone that you can use on a daily basis that connects you to your intention. So we get all excited, we listen to forecasts, we listen to whatever it is, and then we get into our life and it's like, poof, everything's out the door, right? A touchstone is something that you can physically touch that will help to remind you. So, I have a Catholic background, and they use the rosary beads, or what are those? The mandala beads too. Like a lot of cultures have different ways that they have created touchstones into their spiritual practices. But what is it for you? Like, what is there? Is there a touchstone that you could say, okay, this is going to be my 2024 talisman or taliswoman, and I'm going to use this to I guess talisman's kind of different, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, and Mark brought in a mantra, I guess, or something that you can say with all this energy around relationships and I and me and we and us and all the different things that are going to be up in relationship. And he said, this one saying breaks down all relationship to its absolute square root. And that one saying is, I am here and I see you. So putting that somewhere where you can remember when you're in those divisive moments, in those conflict moments, in those moments where you can't believe the person saying what they're saying, or, whatever it is, that simple phrase of, I am here and I see you. Okay, so he said it takes a relationship down to the most foundational level, not I am here and I want to fix you and you're wrong, or not that, but I am here and I see you. Okay. Also, there was a big emphasis in this moment in using your unique talents. Again, I'm coming back to this Leo emphasis, being completely radically yourself in the communities you belong to. We have the power to shape the collective future. Like, do you believe that? Do you believe that we, you, me, us, all of us here, that we actually have the power to shape the collective future? And be honest. Like, if the answer right now is no, or I don't know, or remains to be seen, that's okay too. But if you do believe that, like in your heart, that we have that power, I'd love to hear from you in the chat there. So Rachel was emphasizing, don't feed the fear messages. And she gave us a really beautiful mantra. I have the power to shape the future. My mind is a divining rod attuned to the good. My heart magnetizes love. My body enjoys oneness with the earth. So again, I'll say it again. I have the power to shape the future. My mind is a divining rod attuned to the good. My heart magnetizes love. My body enjoys oneness with the earth. So, okay, I want to see what you all said to that. Miracles. I can't tell. I can't tell what you said. I do believe it because it is systems theory. The one is the many and the many is the one. I love that, Anne. That's so good. Jessica, yes, we are able to influence the future. Okay, fantastic. All right. Let's go to one of the other things. So Rachel said to pay attention next year. I mean, now and always, but definitely next year, of where your attention is, and shut down, if there's certain negative information or things that you tune into that are only feeding a vision for the future that is dark and not the one you want to live in, then make sure that you are consciously choosing to tune your mind, tune your thoughts in with the opposite. I've been thinking too a lot about how there's like, for me, the way it feels is there's negative visions for the future, there's negative ideas. And then the opposite of that isn't necessarily positive, but the word beautiful visions for the future, beautiful visions for what's possible, recognizing and cherishing and celebrating the beauty within each individual person, the beauty within our collective humanity. That feels really good to me. All right. So taking our power back and saying, I can do something right here. I can do something right here, right now. So these are all my biggest takeaways, the highlights from the event. Again, like I said in the beginning, the replay is going to be available through the weekend for our encore weekend. So if you're like, ooh, that's all sounds really good, I'd love to hear how the astrologers said it themselves. I'd love to I'd love to know more of the nuances of the astrology. You can still tune in through midnight Sunday, October 22nd. It is free. If you're an Inner Circle member, you get lifetime access to it, so you don't have the time constraint. But if you want to access it for free, you can through Sunday night. It's 2 hours, so just give yourself some time, make yourself your favorite beverage, hang out, and get inspired. The energy at that event was through the roof. And people walked away feeling so prepared and ready and with the insights that they need to really go forward into next year. So I know it's only October and we're already talking about 2024, but we did it early this year so that you have a little bit more time to kind of sink into some of these ideas. One of the things Mark Borak said recently on a podcast with me was that we're still in the year of the cat. We're looking at Chinese astrology. And so it is more of an inward time. So this is the time to kind of prepare yourself mentally, spiritually, look at the year ahead, figure out, the things that you want to accomplish before that May 25th date that Christopher gave us. Really think about your touchstone, maybe put some of those mantras somewhere where you'll be able to revisit them periodically. And if you love doing that kind of thing, if you love to work with the astrological energies and use them in your life to help you transform and live your best life and understand the people in your life, then I also really encourage you to check out the Inner Circle. It's an incredible place to do that consistently in community with the guidance of the incredible astrologers, with the Astrology Hub team who contributes as well. It's really an incredible experience. So if you're interested in that, now is absolutely the best time because you can get in and lock in the 45% discount. We only do this once a year. Every once in a while, we do it twice a year, but this is it. And we extended that period for you to jump in through Sunday at midnight Pacific as well. The link for that is astrologyhub.com/innercircle24. Okay. And I love what Donna says. We will need the preparation. It's a lot of newness to prepare for. Yes, lots of newness. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, whether or not you're here live or listening to the recording. We so appreciate you here at Astrology Hub. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And I cannot wait to connect with you on the podcast on a regular basis. If you decide to jump into the Inner Circle, I can't wait to welcome you into the Inner Circle either way. We're so grateful for you. So happy that you have decided to make astrology a part of your life and that you're a part of our Astrology Hub community. So thank you so much. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody.